Hi friends, pull up a yoga mat if you'd like, some blocks, blanket, shawl, as it suits you. Not necessary, but could be helpful. Come on over and let's begin our practice for our warm-up. Will be everyday yoga poses that you might be familiar with, and if not, no worries. And we'll then work a bit more with strengthening our own personal energy fields, or our aura, however you prefer to call it. So everyday yoga poses, let's just tune in a moment. A traditional Kundalini tuning in might involve warming the hands. I have my candle here if you want to go and get yourself a candle. It can be nice to have the flame to gaze to, especially as our days grow shorter here in the northern hemisphere. And once you have some warmth in your hands, you could cup your hands over your ears or your eyes, or any place on the body that actually is asking for a bit more attention. And then we'll take the hands together as you might typically, but you'll let the knuckles at the ridge of your palm come out a bit, and it's as if you're making space for your thumbs to sneak in there. This is called Kapota Mudra, and it is a symbol, a gesture for nonviolence. Not only in our actions, but also in our words and in our thinking. Finding your breath. And we'll open with the sounds to remind us to trust our own inner teachers, our wise inner teachers. Ong sounds like O-N-G. Namo, N-A-M-O. Guru, G-U-R-U, Dev, D-E-V, Namo, N-A-M-O, as you wish after inhale. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Two more after the inhale. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. As you're ready, releasing out of the mudra and the seat, and we'll come onto hands and knees. So if you're on a hard surface and you want to add a blanket under your knees, you're welcome to. Sometimes our mats are cushy enough, you'll see. And we're going to come right into what we know as Cobra Pose. Some of us call it Bhujangasana. Your hands will come, actually let's bring it all the way down to the mat first. So forehead or chin resting. You can even bring your arms long and press your palms down. Tops of feet press down, front of hips press down. And even where the rib cage begins to meet almost or come together is pressing down. So you're activating front body. And then we'll bring the hands forward And we'll come into a Cobra Pose with the hands in front of the shoulders and the elbows bent. Tops of feet are down. You can even invite your feet together if you like. Sometimes the back prefers the feet apart. Toenails press down. Front of hips still pressing down. And then the exhale brings you down. So give yourself a moment to find your rhythm here and see if an inhale will lift you up and an exhale will bring you down. And this is about warming the spine, which most of our yoga concerns. And if you like, you can start pressing your way back to child's pose. Some people in child's pose keep the knees together. Some people in child's pose bring the knees apart. And of course, you can have a blanket in between upper and low legs, or you can have a block underneath your seat. Just to give you that boost, can be kinder to the knees at times. So see what works for you here. And then you start moving with your breathing. Let yourself transition with the knees into your cobra, and then exhale into your child's pose, Balasana and Bhujangasana. These postures can be done one at a time or in any order that suits you for a warm-up. So if you find one of the next several postures that we practice to be really something you are wanting, let me make sure I'm bending my elbows this time, to practice, invite it into your daily routine if you can. And after a few to several or more times back and forth, you can come back to your table and we'll move onto the knees. So if you have blocks, you may like to bring them next to your feet like this. So I have the block lined up with my ankles and my toes. And we'll start with making fists, and we'll let the knuckles rub into the low back. Good pressure points to pay attention to. Good for releasing and soothing anxiety. Good for soothing grieving. And so I'm sure the list goes on, but how wonderful that our bodies come equipped with these points to give attention to help us. So now you'll see your toes could be tucked under or the top of foot down. You'll see what works for you. And maybe you'll keep one hand at your back while you bring the other hand forward. So the back hand has options. It could be fingers up, it could be fingers down, it could be the fist pressing. See which feels best for you. And we're moving into a camel pose. If you'd like, your thumb and index finger or forefinger or pointer finger come together for the mudra for tapping into our own inner wisdom. This is a mudra that's thousands of years old. Some call it Jnana Mudra, some call it Gyan Mudra. Your hand could reach forward, it could reach up. Your back hand could stay at your back, could find your block. Sometimes I have to walk it in a bit. Or could find your heel. And then we'll bring the arms back up and around, and we'll switch sides. And maybe this time you'll bring the middle finger to the thumb. The other hand can make a fist, fingers up, or fingers down to that low back as your front hand takes the mudra or gesture for patience, courage, and determination. Hand in front of you or above you, and then that low back hand might find a block, or it might find your heel. Finding your breathing and circling the arms. When we work with releasing the upper legs like that, it is said to help balance the calcium and magnesium levels in our body. And the little bit that I know, I'm not sure if it's worldwide, but here in the States, many of us are low on magnesium and sometimes calcium as well. So sometimes a supplement can be helpful. Magnesium taken at night, of course you have to be sure this is correct for you, can really help those muscles release, and then we have a good rest. This is frog pose. So you could hold on to blocks in front of you. Remember, blocks have different levels. You could slide a blanket under your heels. You don't have to. And eventually your heels are going to come closer. The knees are out, the hands are inside your legs. Maybe your fingertips touch down. Sometimes when we don't want to come all the way down, we hold on to a piece of heavy furniture so that it doesn't slide away from you. So you could hold on to a chair or the wall or a bench or a railing even. See what works for you for your frog pose. And on the inhale, we're going to lengthen, and your heels are still going to stay up. They might even come together. And on the exhale, we gaze forward and move down. So you're going to find your rhythm and see what works for you here. Remember, inhale, lengthen, exhale, your frog squat, and you move with your breathing. I've switched my breathing, so I'm going to switch it again and see what works. Let's see. Inhale, exhale, there we go. Remember, if anything is bothered, improvise and see what works for you. Coming down, breathing, resting. Let's see what happens next in our everyday yoga pose warm up. We want to move to the mat now onto our back. So you may know this as bridge pose, yoga bridge, not gymnastics bridge. In the Kundalini school, we can call it the pick-me-up, and you'll soon see why. So promise me you have safe space behind you. You can come down one hand, one arm, or if you like to use the belly muscles a little more, maybe one vertebra at a time until you come down. If possible, the feet come a little closer. Your arms come long. Your fingertips might touch your heels, or as you breathe in and lift your seat, your hands might reach for your feet. Now, we want your knees to feel good. So if that means your feet need to step forward and your fingers and your hands don't touch, that's fine. Knees are important. Sometimes when I need an extra boost, I press into my backs of upper arms and I breathe in to lift. And then we're going to come down, upper back, middle back, and it's as if you're scooping your tail to bring the low back down. And you lift up on your inhale. And then you exhale down. Upper back, middle back, low lumbar, spine. And you continue. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to release. Coming down to rest. You might like to bring your knees together for a moment, breathing. Before you come back up, you can come up however you'd like. I usually like to give myself a little rocking and rolling to massage the back. You can rock side to side. You can rock forward and back. And we'll come all the way up to stand to find our crow squats now. So your feet come nice and wide, and you may like your toes reaching forward. You might like the toes to reach out a little bit, you'll see. And then your hands come pretty much in line with your shoulders. Your exhale brings you down to the crow squat, and the inhale lifts you up. And you're finding your breathing. Usually if something feels a little off to me, if I bring it wider, it feels better. Also, if I can reach my seat back behind me a bit more, it feels better. Seeing about keeping the wrists in line with the shoulders. Coming all the way down, we'll make our way back to hands and knees. Again, you can place a bit of blanket under your knees if you like. And if possible, tops of feet down. If not, you'll tuck the toes under. And your hands are pretty much under your shoulders, maybe a little bit in front of. The arms are pretty long, but not hyperextended, so tiny bend. Typically, the inhale brings us into the cow, and typically the exhale brings us into the cat. So your belly might feel like the cow as it moves toward the earth, and the belly pulls in and up for the cat. And I usually need to bring my knees a little bit closer. They don't need to touch. And with many of our Kundalini postures, if you want to add the breath of fire, you're welcome to actually in any of these warm-up poses we're doing right now. If you prefer slow and steady with the breath, then so be it. Inhaling cow, exhaling cat, and now it's a bit more obvious. We're really working with the warming of the spine. Low lumbar, mid thoracic, upper cervical. Releasing into your cat, breathing, finding your long, quiet spine, and on to the next posture we go. So you have some options for this part. You might want to move all the way up to the wall. You don't have to. This is shoulder stand. So if you move sideways to the wall, you'll then move your seat to the wall and then get those legs up the wall. And now my blocks are too far away. You might take a block and place the block, well, feet into the wall, lift the hips, place the block or a pillow or a blanket under your seat. Once you're here though, with the hips up, you want your head and your neck still. So if you need to turn to look at the video, come undone and take care of this neck. So here's one option for shoulder stand. And then another option is your feet press into the wall. You lift your hips and your hands hold your hips. You might take a moment with your hips relaxed, moving toward the wall. And when you're ready, your hands will move up the back a bit, and you can practice lifting one leg and then the other. You can lift both legs. You can point through the toes. You can flex through the feet. Be sure that you're breathing, please. Yes, you can even do breath of fire here. If your neck is uncomfortable, come undone and roll up a bit of blanket just under your neck to support you. You can also reach your feet overhead, and if your toes touch down, sometimes I realize once I get here how tight my backs of legs actually are. So your plow pose, as in the farm tool to plow the fields. Your hands can hold your back or your hands can press down. You'll see which you prefer. And when you need to come out, remember that block is there and you roll again, upper back, middle back, low back. And another way to practice plow pose is to turn around and push your feet into the wall. So let me show you what that might look like. Remember, blocks have two different levels, so you could have this way or this way. Obviously, will lift you a little higher. And if you wanted to practice the plow pose with the wall, you would maybe measure an arm's length away, maybe a bit more, and see about your feet moving back and touching the wall. So your tippy toes are at the wall. And then you don't have to come all the way down, but you might. Hands at your low back, your hips, or hands pressing down. So rolling out in order of the spine. And let me show you one more option. We can take a wide stance with the plow and actually lower and lift from the shoulder stand. All about keeping the spine healthy here, but also giving your throat chakra, your thyroid gland, good attention. As long as you're breathing. We don't want to hold the breath here. So here we go, back to the wall. Into your shoulder stand at the wall. And if you want to, you can bring the feet wide. Promise me you're breathing. And then lift to the wide shoulder stand. So maybe the exhale will bring the toes down, move things out of your way. And maybe the inhale will bring the toes up. And you continue. You can do any of what we've done so far. And finally, coming up, rolling down gently on the spine, and maybe taking a little breather. You can rock and roll to one side or the other. Your top hand can press down to lift you up, and up we go to practice our archer pose. Almost done with the warm-ups. So your back foot will be, well, let's start at the top actually. Let's step 1 foot back. Let me see if I can fit in this screen. 1 foot back, 1 foot forward. Your front heel might make a line to the middle of your back foot. That might help your balance. Some people like to line up heel to heel. Some people are not as concerned with their lineup. You can bring 2 hands together at your heart and then bring your arms long, and I'm too close to the wall for my back arm. Oh, but we're turning this into an archer pose. So your palms face the side your hips are facing. Your back hand comes around and you act as if you're taking hold of a bow and arrow. And we might add a little bounce to this front knee, as long as it feels right for you. You might add the sound hada. It sounds like, to me, H-A-D-A, hada, 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 hada. You're gazing over your front thumb, hada, 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 hada. And you might be gazing towards something you're welcoming more of into your life. Hada, 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 hada. Pausing, breathing, releasing that arrow, aiming for what you're welcoming more of into your life. You can bring your hands to your hips and simply pivot on your feet and set up in the other direction. Or you can step your back foot forward and switch feet. So the other foot in front, the other foot in back. Your fingers might come together at first. It's similar to Warrior Two if you're familiar with that pose. Your palms face the side your hips are facing. Your back hand comes around and you take hold of your bow and your arrow. Hada, 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 hada. Aiming towards something you're welcoming more of in your life and releasing the arrow in that direction. And maybe you'll transition then into a lunge, so your back heel can lift up, and we'll step the front foot to meet the back foot. Maybe your heels will press down toward the mat. Maybe your hips will press back toward the wall behind you. The alignment folks would like our ears in line with upper arms. Your head might come a little closer towards your body if you like. So your archer pose works with inviting fearlessness, bravery, courage. Your down dog works with releasing pent up emotions. Digestion as well. And finally, we'll come on down to the mat to work with our final warm-up pose for now. So if you have anything sharp or too hard nearby, please move it. If you have an extra layer, you might want to get that out. And we're going to practice as best we're able. And sometimes I think these postures are to make sure that we laugh a little. And laughing, or they say, right? Laughter is the best medicine. So your legs will come long. Make sure I don't kick over the plants. Your body comes long. Your hands come near your hips and you're holding your body tight. So your head lifts, your toes point, and you start to rock and roll side to side until you can get that body rolling to one side and then the other. And if you want to keep rolling, go right ahead. Just be sure you clear the path. So let's try it the other way. And maybe we have one way that works compared to the others. And we lift, your legs are long, your head is lifted, you're rocking, and you're rolling, and maybe you'll take it to the other side. Woo, and if anything, it's good for a good laugh. You're welcome to keep rolling if you like. That's called the bundle roll, and it's for massaging the muscles and for protecting your own energy field. So some of us call it our aura, some of us call it our electromagnetic energy field. We know living things have energy fields. So this next Kriya, I promise you it's a short one, is for strengthening that aura. And the first part, it has 3 parts. The first part, you have some options. So you could be on your hands and your knees, and you can bring one set of toes up. Your hands can come wide, and you exhale down, inhale up. Exhale down, inhale up. Or if you wish, you can take it to your down dog. One foot down, one leg up, and again, exhale down, inhale up. See how it works for you. Releasing, and to the other side we go. So you could have knees down, well, one knee down, one set of toes up, exhale down, inhale up. And of course you can do this from down dog. So these are your yogic push-ups. One foot down, one foot up. You're trying to keep the leg that's up long rather than bent. And then you come back down to your seat. And let me tell you a little bit more about what we're doing here. So, the down dog push-ups. Moving energy into upper body, upper chakras, navel to the heart, to the throat, to the third eye, our place of intuition. And the next part, arm raises, is working on strengthening our energy field, which extends out from the hairline level. And some people even call this your halo area or your arc line. So you find your left hand makes the shape of letter L, and that reaches forward. And your other hand comes underneath, and these 4 fingers are on top, your thumb is on bottom, and this thumb is on top. And you start in line with your shoulders. The inhale lifts you up to that arc line, and the exhale brings your wrists down to the shoulders. So not lower, shoulders. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This is a chopping movement, and we're inviting that breath of fire to stir up all our good energy. When you're ready. Releasing, breathing a moment. We've made it to the last part, which is called aura ripples. Let me tell you a little bit about what we'll do. So we're going to extend our arms and create energy ripples that extend the aura further and further. So one of my favorite things I've learned from the Kundalini school, hands in front of shoulders again, so up in line, fingers together, thumbs up, moving things that might be in your way. The exhale brings the hands back and down a little bit, and then the inhale brings the hands up in line with shoulders. So let's see, inhale, exhale. How we project is how we protect. And then I like to add in there, how we protect is how we project. And it only makes sense, right? And it's a practice, that's for sure. Inhale, exhale. Releasing, breathing, well done. Often these exercises will say to work up to 1 to 2 minutes. For this Kriya or set of exercises to strengthen the aura, the directions say we can gradually build to 7.5 minutes for each side on the down dog push-ups, the yogic push-ups, and 15 minutes each for the last 2. So I like to count how many I do. I feel that when I look at the clock, it's distracting. You find what works for you, and there's no checklist. There's just how it feels for you in this moment and on this day. And you'll see where it goes. And if you have questions, reach out to me and we'll figure out what's best for you. So at the end, we typically take rest. We're here near the wall. If you want to get those legs up the wall, feel free. Typically in a Kundalini yoga class, we rest supine on the back, but if you would rather rest prone on the belly or on your side body, that's all up to you. It's your practice after all. And the idea is if we give ourselves a bit of rest, then we're able to assimilate all that we've done in our practice. And we tend to change in body temperature once we rest. So if you'd like to add some layers, go right ahead. I'm having a little trouble with my layer. If you want to prop under your knees, that can be a nice place to just lift up a bit, you'll see. And of course, if you want to prop your feet or your neck, that all works too. So the idea is really to listen and feel and know what you might need now. And of course, we're here in YouTube land, so if you want to take a longer rest, feel free to turn the video off and play some relaxing music if you like, or hang in there with us and we'll rest our fingers and our toes and release the ankles and wrists. The knees and the elbows rest. The hips and the jawbones release. You might like to rest your tongue in the roof of your mouth. You can even take the tip of your tongue and let it press a bit behind your 2 front teeth at the top there in the back. And that gives the jaw the message to release and not to cling or grind the teeth or click the teeth together. And as you're ready, we'll start to awaken again through the fingers and toes, through the ankles and wrists. Maybe a good stretch as you're ready. Maybe a gentle hug as you like. Some rocking, some rolling. Maybe you'd like to give yourself a moment in a spinal twist, just to give your back time to reacclimate and prepare for coming to our final seat. So both knees move to one side for a moment or 2 or 3, and then to the other side. And you're twisting your back, but you're also giving your belly some good attention. And then coming center, we'll rock and roll forward and back and come on up to a seat that suits you. To close our practice, if you have that candle nearby, you might place it in front of you to have your soft gaze there. So not too close, not too far, so your neck doesn't strain. If you'd like to return to the Kapota Mudra, let me tell you what else it's good for. Non-violence, cultivating inner peace at all levels, supporting health across the body systems, practicing, instilling self-care with introspection. So often when we think of non-violence, we think of action, but there are words and there are thoughts before and behind those actions. So nowhere does it say to feel guilty, but it is a relearning and unlearning and a practice. So release the guilt, because that could indeed be part of actually the violence toward ourselves. It doesn't feel good. So your hands come together, and then the knuckles in the middle pop out a bit so that your thumbs can sneak in there. And that's your Kapota Mudra. And you can hold it anywhere you feel would suit you. Heart center might be nice. And I'm going to share the seed sound. We may have done this one before. Ram, R-A-M. Some say R-U-M. It is a sound for inner strength, for calm, for protective light, to balance us when we feel like we might blow away with the wind, to help us sleep, to release our fears, to release our bad dreams and our anxieties. So it sounds like Ah as in father, Ram. And it's a calming mantra. It's a seed or a bija. So Kapota Mudra, breathing in, breathing out when you're ready. And we'll start the Ram after the inhale 3 times as you wish. Ram, R-A-M. Ram, Ram. Thank you for sharing your practice, friends. If you'd like some musical ideas for your practice, feel free to reach out. I have lots of nice music to recommend for your practicing, if you like. Be well until next time. This is a video for a friend who comes in for a yoga private, and then we create a video for their needs. If you'd like a video like this for yourself, please be in touch. Or if you are interested in a private, you're more than welcome to sign up for one at the studio. And of course, we have all of our typical classes Monday through Saturday at the studio as well. And you're welcome to drop in. Take good care. I'll see you next time.